Hi everyone, welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Today we're talking about Everton's match against Leeds last night, a 2-1 win at Ellen Road for the Blues. Obviously joined by Terry, who joins us pretty often for these match reaction videos, and James from the Babbling Blues Podcast. James, thanks for coming on and chatting to us, mate.
Yeah, no worry, lads. Hope you're all right and doing well.
Yeah. Good to have a couple of different people every now and then on the podcast, and I'm sure Toffee Blues John will remember to leave all of James's links in the description, so you can check out the Babbling Blues podcast if you haven't already. But yeah, we're talking about Leeds United and about Everton's win last night, pretty big win. Terry, I'll come to you first. What did you make of the result and the performance as well?
Great results, great performance, especially in the first half. It was frantic, wasn't it? Like, it was like the highest paced game I've seen, all season for any team. It was just non-stop, but executed a game plan really well. Scored some good goals and coped with what must have been the worst pitch I've ever seen to play on. It was ridiculous.
I know. After the game is finished, I put in the group chat, the Toffees take all 3 points on the ice rink. Awful pitch. I mean, it looked great, didn't it? Like when the teams got to the sun, I thought, Jesus, this pitch looks like first day of the season sort of conditions. And the amount of players slipping over was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Andre Gomez tackled Marcelo Bielsa, so it's how bad it was. But yeah, they coped. Like, it was affecting both teams. But Everton sort of dealt with it a lot better. We had players in our team that looked after the ball a little bit better than theirs did. Like, they're mad, aren't they? Let's be honest. They fly at you at 100 miles an hour, but they leave gaps everywhere at the back.
They're like if Red Bull was a football team. That's what I'd compare them to.
Yeah, well, exactly. They're just all over the place. Very dangerous. They almost scored quite early with what would have been an unbelievable goal from that volley from their corner, hit the post. I think Olsen may have had it, but would have been some goal. But then, we reacted. Andre Gomez has hit an unbelievable, upfield pass. He's, the weight and the precision on it's unbelievable. Got him. Luca Dean gets himself that little yards of space, whips it in, and there's Sigurdsson just, channeling his Davy Klaassen late run into the box.
Yeah,
it's all he ever did. We can't take that away from him.
Was a good goal from Sigurdsson, to be fair. Yeah. And we'll talk about it in a bit. James, same question to you, mate. How did you feel about the game last night?
Yeah, I thought it was as was mentioned. I think it was frantic, 100 mile an hour, just what you expect when you're playing against that Leeds team. And I mean, the pitch was awful. I didn't really notice it too much in the first half, but then I started looking second half, and I think I counted 24 players slipping over during the second half. It was just mad. There was one point where 2 Leeds players simultaneously fell over. It was just mental. But yeah, I thought first half we played on the front foot and gave it as good as we got for the majority of it, which is what I'd like us to have done against that Leeds side. And we mixed the pragmatism with a bit of, I think that's why we ended up getting 2-0 up. And I said at half time, the last thing you want to do is concede a silly goal early doors, which obviously we did, but then we sort of showed that pragmatism and held on to it in the end. And yeah, I think it's a really good win. And when we played them the first time, I would have said going to Ellen Road is going to be a nightmare. But no, I was really, really pleased last night.
Yeah, same. Stuff, lots and lots of positives, a few negatives in there as well. I don't want to be too negative. We always want to be positive when we talk about a win, but coming out and starting the second half a bit slow really disappointed me, but we defended really well in places. And a couple of players put in absolutely standout performances. Terry, you mentioned there Gylfi Sigurdsson's goal. I was laughing because I was on the match reaction with Paul after the Newcastle game, and 50% of that was just absolutely slating Gylfi Sigurdsson, and then he pops up with a goal early doors. And obviously, you mentioned there the early run into the box, the late run into the box even. What do you make of his performance? Because I was quite pleased with him last night. I thought he did a lot better.
Yeah, he was a lot better than the previous week. He seems to be like that this season, where he has a good game, then a few bad games, and then a few good games, then a bad game. He's got no level of consistency. But fortunately, last night it was one of his good games, and he wasn't just the goal and the corner for the second goal. It was Calvin Phillips, which he didn't do in the home game. Like, he just got to run the whole match at Goodison. But yesterday, he followed him around the pitch and stifled his influence. So I think it was one of the better games for Gylfi Sigurdsson, and I'm one of his harsher critics as well. I mean, I know there aren't many people who give him the benefits of the doubt these days, apart from Icelandic Stato. But I thought he was great. He deserved a goal, and he got the. I think he goes down for the assist for the corner as well. Good performance from him.
Yeah, another nail-biting one as well towards the end. Hopefully, one of these days we get a game where we just absolutely polish the team off in the first half and we win about 4-0. I want to talk about Robin Olsen as well, because I think majority of us now are in the opinion that Olsen needs to play. James, I'm interested to get your opinion on Olsen, because he was really good last night. And do you think he should play from here on out?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that triple save's just ridiculous in the second half, and that's what wins us the game ultimately. I thought he was quite competent in the other areas of his goalkeeping last night, so I was pleased with Robin Olsen. I think going forward now he's got to be in number one certainly for the next few weeks, how he gets on. I think it's good though having competition between the two goalies. I don't mind him sort of swapping them in and out at times if it's getting the best results for us. So I think that's probably where we are at the minute, because we've got an expensive goalkeeper there in Pickford who looked really good when he first came in, I thought, and now he's obviously been on a bit of a decline, and we sort of saw that with the Leicester game where I think he'd done all right up until that point. But yeah, I think sort of errors like that aren't going to run with this manager. Whereas I think Martinez was letting Tim Howell get away with murder a few seasons ago, wasn't he? Before he brought in Joe Robles, I seem to remember. So yeah, absolutely, I would start Robin on the weekend if Spurs, regardless of whether Pickford's fit, injured, in form or whatever. So I think if he has 3 games on the bounce, we can sort of look ahead from there. And I'd be more than happy if he stays in goal from here on in, because I thought last night he essentially won us the points, really, didn't he? So
yeah, I think in a season like this where it's all to play for, we can't be compromising on the goalkeeper. I think we need to just be playing whoever's the best option at the time. And for me, Olsen's the best right now. Terry, your opinion on that one as well? I know you're a Robin Olsen fan as well.
Yeah, I've it's not even the triple save, and that was really good from him, but it's just the basic things like coming to catch a ball and command it on a corner or something like that. It's just the boring safe stuff which we don't get from Pickford, and I want to see that going forward. I'd like to see Olsen keep the shirt for as long as he's performing, and honestly, he doesn't have to make those triple saves every game. He just has to not throw them in the net, and that's an improvement on the way Pickford's been playing. So I'm very much in the pro Robert Olsen camp as well, like James.
That Leicester game is a prime example for me, because people will talk about how we invited pressure the whole game, the whole second half, and how Leicester obviously deserved to get something. But Robin Olsen's in goal. I remember, Terry, it'll stick in my mind now for a long time. As soon as that goal went in, we were talking in the Toffee Blues group chat at the point, and as soon as it went in, you said Robin Olsen saves that, and I think it was that one, probably was. But that game, I think that would have been 3 points for us. I know Leicester deserved something from that, but we could have escaped there, smash and grab and won that game 1-0. And as well, with all due respect to Jordan Pickford, I think there was one. I think it was the volley that you've just been talking about earlier, Terry. There was one point where there was a shot and it just went over the bar, and it was there, but the keeper had it, and Robin Olsen just put his hands up and touched the crossbar, and it went over. And it's crazy, because I just sat there and thought, God, how great is it to have a goalie who can touch the crossbar? And I think, as you said, it's just it's the commanding side of him. It's the easy stuff that he does well. And if you're going to win stuff, he's got to be in goal because he's going to probably save us more points. And I think me and Paul were talking about it as well. He hasn't threw the ball in the net yet. So why is he not playing every game? James, the away form's been outstanding this season. I think that's 7 away games so far this season. We've won 4 on the trot. First time since 1985, we've won 4 away games on the bounce. Brilliant, isn't it? Makes a nice change.
Just before James starts, it's just nice to have a keeper whose feet touch the floor when he sits on the toilet. It's just... just keep all the angles safe. Sorry, James, go on.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Yeah. I mean, the away form's been unbelievable. I didn't actually realise until last night how good it's been when they mentioned that we've won 4 in a row for the first time in 30 odd years. But I think we posted on our Twitter a few weeks ago that we've won now as many away games under Ancelotti as we had done going back to I think Ronald Koeman's first or second away win. I think in that time, because we had that long stint under Silva, didn't we? We didn't win one for ages and ages. And obviously, I know we had Duncan, Unsworth and Allardyce, etc. in there. We only won a couple between.
I think he's won, Ancelotti's won more away games than Koeman and Silva combined in 30 less games or something like that, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's meant. I mean, obviously the stats are slightly maybe in favour of Ancelotti because we haven't played any of the big teams away from home yet, other than Spurs, haven't we? So that's when that's going to be really tested. But I think I speak for all, and I say it's just a massive shame because I know loads of people who go up and down the country have been to some of the worst away games over the last few years, and they're not there to see any of these games, which is a big shame. I imagine it would have been great at Leeds last night, for example, or that Spurs one, or Wolves. Loads of really good away days that we're missing out on. But yeah, long may it continue. And as I say, the big tests now are going to be Anfield, the Etihad, Old Trafford on the weekend. They're going to be the games where I'll truly believe the away form's turned around. But for now, it's just nice to win the nitty gritty games, the ones that aren't sort of the headline makers. So yeah, really, really pleased with that.
Yeah, and you mentioned there obviously Man United at the weekend. Stay tuned for to the channel, guys, because we'll be me, Terry, and James will be previewing that game as well. And talking about the away form, we can't really talk about the away form without talking about how good we've been defensively. Terry, we've been like Italians in defence. I know that sounds cliche with Carlo in charge, but the entire back four, or you want to throw Luca Dean in there and call it a back five or whatever. It was just outstanding last night, wasn't it? Mina, Godfrey, Holgate was a bit iffy at times, but they were all pretty good, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you said that about the away form, and it applies to this as well, the style of play. Teams are reflections of their managers. Like, I've never been more certain of anything now in my life. When you have a string of weak managers, you get a weak team. That's why we couldn't win away from home, because Marco Silva was a weak manager. Koeman's a weak manager. He just was a great player, so he's well marketed. Allardyce, he is what he is. Now that we've got an actual strong manager, we've got a stronger mentality, and you can see that in the style of play where, someone like Pep Guardiola, his team and all of his teams play the Pep Guardiola way. There is no, Carlo ball. There is no style of play for Carlo Ancelotti. His signature is pragmatism, and that's what we've become better at. We, playing different players, rotating different, formations. Luca Dean's on the left of midfield sometimes, and Godfrey's at left back, and we've got Holgate at right back, and sometimes we've got James on the right of midfield. Sometimes he's in the number 10. And that suits us. We've turned into Carlo's Everton, and you've seen the improvements in performances and results off the back of that. We've become a lot stronger defensively because it's a cliche, but top Italian managers typically are always built on defence because it's part of their football and heritage. But there's so much more to them than that. And this is the type of squad that Carlo's working with, that he hasn't, his key men are, for the most part, his defenders. Like, he's obviously got Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, James, but if you look at the other key men in this team, they're all strong defensive players. Godfrey, Holgate, Keane, Mina, Luca Dean, Coleman's been important this season. He's even using Takore. Takore's not been this marauding box-to-box midfielder that we thought he'd be. He's been sort of, I don't know what to call it, like I suppose a pivot or like the linchpin in the centre of midfield.
He's a bit of everything. At the moment. He's been fantastic.
Power to hold the midfield. So they're the key players are all those type of players who feed into that type of tactics where, you know, use strength rather than, you know, nice little intricate footballers, which, you know, Martinez wanted us to buy and we kept getting rolled over.
And I was talking to Jay from Stretford Paddock for an opposition view from them, and I just mentioned Ben Godfrey. I just said, listen, mate, if I know he's been in the league for a few months now, and you might not have been able to see him too much properly, but this lad is unbelievable. One of the best defenders I've seen play for Everton. The lad just absolutely loves defending, and me and Terry, I've spoke about him so much on the channel. I feel like I ask you about him every time you're on with me, Terry. So I'll ask James this time instead. James, try and sum Ben Godfrey up because it's just, I'm losing words for him at the moment. He's fantastic, isn't he?
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I mentioned it on our podcast or not, but someone I knew used to play with him when they were younger. And then obviously he was at Norwich and they got promoted last season. So when I heard that they were mates when they were younger, I watched him a lot last season and I was impressed with him, but I just think he's gone up another level since he's come here. Having watched, you know, as much of that Norwich team as I could last year. Like, he's just unbelievable. I don't know when wingers are going to stop trying to get in behind him or around the side of him, because not only is he quick, well, to say the least, but he's built like a vending machine. He's absolutely huge, and you saw it when he scored, and he's like this massive figure at the back of the celebrations. He's just massive and reads the game well, quick, strong. I think he's an intelligent footballer. He's really good at bringing the ball out. That one last night where I wish we'd score from that, because we'd see that all over the shop, but I'm glad Everton sort of clipped it out and posted it last night. Literally, I've not seen a real flaw in his game yet, and he's still only young. Didn't cost ludicrous money, and yeah, I saw a tweet just before this actually that I think summed it up, where I can't believe out of Alan, James and Decore, Godfrey's probably been my favourite signing so far, because he's just been immense.
I saw that tweet as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's mad as well, because I think last night wasn't that the first time he's played centre-back in a back four in the Premier League so far, I believe. So
I think so, yeah. He was unbelievable. The lad can play anywhere. He's unbelievable. I speaking to my dad about him, he reminds me of that James Charles who played for Juventus, that Welsh fella from like the 50s, and he was known for playing centre-back and then striker on the weekend. Look him up if you haven't already, because the lad seems like he could play on the left wing at this rate. The way he gets the ball and you just think, yeah, just pass it, go on, pass it. And he just turns and he just runs as fast as he can towards the centre circle. He doesn't seem to get tackled. He seems to be able to play everywhere. He's fast. There's one point where I can't remember I think it was Rafinha he was up against, and he turned his back to shield the ball against Rafinha, and he kicked the ball back towards his own goal and ran after it as if to be like, come on then, you want to try and beat me for pace? You can't. Just unbelievable how good the start to his Everton career has been. And you mentioned there, James, about the signings we made in the summer, and he's arguably the best. And I think based on just watching this season alone, you can't argue with the fact that he's the best. Calvert-Lewin's back in the goals as well. Terry, how good's that?
Fantastic. I thought his overall game was terrible. I thought he stunk the place out in terms of his decision making, but he scored, so it doesn't matter. It's that if you're a goal scorer, if you're playing badly and still score, that's fine by me. But I think he grew into the game a little bit more once he got the goal. I think he was trying to force it a little bit beforehand. You know, might have been playing on his mind, and you could just see on his face after he scored when he was celebrating that, you know, he was just relieved, and it was just another DCL special, a back post header. Hopefully that'll kick him on now. Like, I think it's not the full story when you see his goals out. You go, 7 games he hasn't scored, but how many of them was Luca Dean not playing in? Like, so the main assist mate for Dom wasn't playing. We were playing in December with Dom up front and the 4 centre backs across the back 4, but we didn't have any James or any Luca Dean to sort of provide these opportunities for Dom. So his goals were going to dry up. Now that those two are coming back into the team, you're starting to see, you'll hopefully start to see him score more goals.
Yeah, I was made up. I was talking to Jacob as well from the Toffee Blues, and we were talking about how much the lad needed a goal, and he scored right as soon as we started talking about it. So I think me and Jacob, if you're watching this one, we can take credit for that Dominic Calvert-Lewin goal because we talked it into the net. James, your opinion on that? He obviously needed the goal really badly, and a Yorkshireman as well, making the difference against Leeds United. What do you make of him last night?
Yeah, same as Terry. Really, I didn't think he had his best game, and the decision making for when we saw. I mean, I'm kind of glad now he didn't pass it to Richarlison because we got to see fuming Carlo for the first time properly. So that was like something out of a Tarantino film when he was screaming there. I really enjoyed that. But and then at the end, he's got to score that as well. He made an unbelievable run. Decore did really well too to slide him in, but yeah, he had to score them. But no, I think again, as Terry said, I don't really mind, but his all-round games, like if he scores, and if he doesn't score, I want his all-round game to be good. So as long as he's doing one of the two and we're winning games, then I'm happy with him. And yeah, I'm glad they've got the goal, and we can hopefully now get closer to our starting 11 now that Alan's coming back, and obviously James, Luca Dean, etc. So I wasn't too worried about the drought or whatever you'd like to call it because of the fact that we didn't have Dean, we didn't have James for some of those games. The team wasn't playing too well in the games like West Ham. That sort of come to mind, or even games like Chelsea where they're not the sort of fixtures for him, where we've got to sit back. Same with Richarlison in some ways. Our attacking players are a little bit stifled by that pragmatism to win those big games, and we got a lot of points on the board even though he wasn't scoring. So no, yeah, I'm really pleased, and if you can get another on the weekend, then that'd be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and you mentioned Abdoulaye Doucouré did really well, and Calvert-Lewin's got to put it away, but it won't be thought about too much as soon as we won the game. But Terry, we saw box to box Abdoulaye Doucouré in that moment. Unbelievable. The guy's legs are unbelievable when he starts running. He took the ball on his edge of the box, and it was a bit like that Kevin Morales against Stoke. I wanted him to go for it on his own, if I'm being honest. And I think next time he will, after that absolute stinker of a miss from Dom. But we can't dwell on it too much. Everton got 3 points. That's the main thing. Another away win on the board as well. Stay tuned to the channel because we'll be talking about Manchester United very soon. In the next couple of days, you'll be seeing that one up on the channel. Yeah, thanks to Teddy for joining me. Thanks to James as well. Obviously, make sure you check out the Babbling Blues podcast. I'm sure we'll remember to link that one in the description. And yeah, leave us your comments on what you thought of Everton's game against Leeds. What did you make of the performance? And yeah, leave some player ratings in there if you want as well. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.